Welcome back to On Point, World's Richest Race Edition. James, the $16 million Pegasus World Cup. I actually don't know who you like, so it'll be interesting to hear that. But of course, the race, even from post 10, goes through favorite Gunrunner.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's the horse to beat clearly. The outside post isn't ideal. There's a lot of other speed, and he's coming off a wire-to-wire victory. So where he'll be early is a little bit of a question mark. But the fact remains, he's eligible just to crush the competition like he has all year since Dubai World Cup.
Yeah, without a doubt, I agree. That Breeders' Cup Classic I thought was scintillating. The Stephen Foster was one of the best performances of the year as well. Florent Geroux clearly just had so much horse, even early through those fast fractions in the Breeders' Cup. But of course, always a question of carrying that form forward. Arrogate did it last year in the Pegasus. Not so much later in the year, though, and California Chrome had post 12 in the Pegasus, runner-up in the Classic, and really if he had run that Classic back without Arrogate in there, that should have been good enough to win, and it wasn't. So certainly no gimme, but the one to beat, the question is 4 to 5 the right price?
I don't think it's the. I think he's going to be lower. I think his fair value would be lower. So, and you're right. I mean, that is a question because you're looking at the whole year, and like a lot of times with like a top horse like Gunrunner, these trainers work backwards. So Steve Asmussen at the start of 2017 would have been like the Classics our goal. How do we get there? And this race in that regard is perhaps a little bit of an afterthought. So perhaps that's the best hope for anybody trying to beat him is that he won't show up with his 100% effort, but you can't count on that.
Yeah, and it's a good point about intent or pointing to a certain race for that reason. Somewhat similar to what we see with the Euros and the Breeders' Cup. Right. It's, we won the Arc or the Champions. Yeah, let's try the Breeders' Cup. That never really was the goal all along. Pegasus a little different. I think when Arrogate did it, that maybe added some, we can do this too, and certainly on the radar, but you're right, the Breeders' Cup was the goal, and they'll be rewarded for that with the Horse of the Year trophy ahead of the Pegasus, and we'll see what happens Saturday. So if not Gunrunner, who?
West Coast. I think pretty much everybody has three main horses. West Coast, Collected, Sharp Azteca. I am against Collected. I don't think he's in that same form he was last summer at Del Mar. Sharp Azteca intrigues me. He is going a mile and eighth the first time, but I saw him win the Monmouth Cup last year, a mile and 16. I think if that track is playing favorably to speed, he could, perhaps get the distance, be just fine. But I still think give West Coast because he has the most potential upside. He's a little bit in that Gunrunner vein where when he ran second in the dirt mile, he really took a huge step forward when he won the Clark and went on from there. Maybe West Coast can come back in his next race after the Classic and really start his progression forward as a 4-year-old.
Yeah, and Cigar Mile, do you mean for Sharp Azteca?
Oh, that's what I mean for Sharp Azteca,
And I mentioned that because, the mile and an eighth is a question for him. Although at Gulfstream certainly can carry your speed. I'm sticking with Gunrunner in part because I really can't make a case for the other three at shorter prices. And I don't like either of the other 8. If one of them wins, it's truly an upset in my mind.
Yeah, I looked at a horse like Seeking the Soul as perhaps having a chance to complete the trifecta or superfecta because once again, he's the kind of horse that has a little bit of an upside off back-to-back wins in his first stakes tally in the Clark. But yeah, he that outside post did him no favors, and he's really going to have to improve significantly to challenge for even a placing.
Yeah, well, I haven't looked at the other races in the pick 4 and such, but for me, I'm just taking my chances with Gunrunner. I'm going to single him in the Maltese and see what happens.
And one thing about it is, like, all the races, I think, have, like, a purse, enhanced purse. Like, you'll see these, like, $175,000 listed turf stakes that I think would have been $75,000. So you do have a bunch of 12, 14-horse fields populating that card. So you do have the potential for some prices around Gunrunner if he does win as expected.
All right, well, also part of the Rainbow Six, which $3 million plus if you're the lone winner. And if that doesn't happen, mandatory payout Sunday. So really a big weekend at Gulfstream. Kicks off with the Eclipse Awards Thursday night, Pegasus Saturday, mandatory Sunday. Lots of reasons to play at Twin Spires.
Yes, there is. Yeah, and that's like you said. You got to keep that in the back of your mind when you're playing that Pegasus because I'm going to come back and fire at that mandatory.
Yeah, exactly. Got to leave some bankroll even if you're wrong on Saturday. But I'm hoping I'm right. Gunrunner's a cool horse. I'd like to see him go out on top.
Yeah, beautiful horse.